Today we're in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. I have the Fuji x100v with me. Let's go on a photo walk and see what we can get. So I've never been in this neighborhood before, and this is one of the reasons why I really like going on photo walks, because I get to explore new neighborhoods, I get to bring my camera with me, and I get to come across places like this. I mean, look at the front of this house, the flowers, all the floral arrangements, everything is just perfect. Combine that with a really nice late afternoon light, the shadows coming in from the sun shining through the trees, you get such a pleasant scene. This whole street is insanely gorgeous, and this is just one of a countless amount of blocks here in this neighborhood. So that means I think we're gonna have a good time and hopefully be able to get some decent looking pictures. What I'm really on the lookout for are some vintage cars. I've been fortunate enough to come across a couple of them in New York, and having the Fuji x100v with me, which we can talk about a little bit later, really just seals the deal. So typically I've been shooting with one film simulation for like the past couple of weeks. I found it actually on Reddit and have modified it a little bit to my liking, and it is, in my opinion, probably like the most versatile film sim that I've come across so far. What I mean by that is the JPEG straight EVs camera do look really nice, but it also captures the detail in such a manner that it makes editing the JPEGs even really easy and simple. And I really appreciate that. It has good dynamic range. I keep the grain setting on low because I can always add more if I want. And in general, I'm able to edit the JPEGs and just boost the saturation, boost the contrast, do a couple things, nothing crazy, and still get really clean and sharp images. Even I've printed them out before and they still look pretty good. Another reason I really enjoy coming to neighborhoods like this and shooting stuff is because it's so quiet. Like, I'm standing in the middle of the street. I've been in the middle of the street for about 45 seconds and there's not a car in sight, which is pretty much unheard of in Manhattan, specifically Lower Manhattan where I live. So having the freedom to actually take your time and compose the shot without having to worry about constantly getting out of the way of cars is really, really cool. So I'm not entirely sure this counts as a vintage car. It's definitely old and it's definitely unique, but not the sort of vintage car I had in mind. But it's still a good exercise. Thinking taking a couple warm-up shots. I have never seen something like this before. So I've been walking around for about 45 minutes now, and I was starting to lose hope that we'd be able to find a cool vintage car to shoot, but look at this. It's an MG. I don't know too much about them other than they look really, really cool. There's a yellow one actually in the West Village that I've come across a couple times now, so it's really cool to see another one in red. So I'm gonna have some fun photographing this. It's also been like oddly cloudy for the last, as long as I've been walking, and literally as soon as I came across this car, that's when the sun came out, which I feel like is a sign for something. So let's shoot this. It's always cool to get these cars from like different angles and really just like try your best to shoot them in cool perspectives. But obviously, because this is somebody's personal vehicle, we don't want to get too close. We don't want to accidentally touch the car or affect it in any way, shape, or form. Just leave it be and do our best to document it as is. This is so cool. Always try to get those detail shots as well. I think another reason I really like going on photo walks is because it's just fun. I really like doing a lot of things alone, but I don't like being inside all day, so this is a really good compromise of being able to just like put my headphones in, listen to some music, explore a new area, and take some really cool pictures. And I'm able to go to a lot of different parts of the city that my typical like day-to-day just wouldn't take me to. Like I don't know anybody that lives in this neighborhood. I don't do any work in this neighborhood. I haven't had any gigs in this part of Brooklyn, but I'm here just because why not? New York's so big and so cool, so I'm really trying to explore as much as possible, and photo walks are a great opportunity to get out, get my steps in, and practice, really. And only a couple of blocks away, I come across this really cool looking vintage Silverado in such a unique, like tealish sort of color. So we've kind of gone 45 minutes without seeing anything, and now 10 minutes and seeing two really cool cars. Isn't that crazy? It's tough getting all the shots I want because this is a much busier street than the last street I was just on with the MG, which means I can't really go out into the middle of the road, or I'm constantly having to look for cars, pedestrians, people on bikes. That's fine. All makes for a more interesting shoot. See if we can get any cool detail shots. Ooh. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, I really like only having to bring one camera with me, the Fuji x100v, when I'm going on these photo walks. For a couple different reasons, and I'll try my best to go through them quickly so this doesn't turn into a full-fledged like camera review. So the x100v is a fixed lens camera, and it is I think it's a 23mm f2 lens, which in full frame equivalence is a 35mm focal length, which is my favorite focal length, and I use it for any sort of like paid gigs or even just personal stuff probably like 80% of the time. So it's a focal length that I'm very comfortable with. It's a focal length that I love, and I typically shoot with it most of the time. So bringing a camera that already has that sort of focal length built in is perfect, because odds are I'm not going to change it. There are a couple times where, you know, I wish I could be a little bit wider, or I wish I could be a little bit more zoomed in, but like I said, like 80% of the time it works great. And if so, I just have to recompose the shot, and it forces me to think a little bit more intentionally about the shot and the composition and everything like that. Secondly, it's so small and it's so lightweight, and the fact that I can just bring a fanny pack is amazing for me. Like, I love this Brevity Jumper backpack, but sometimes it gets heavy, it gets bulky, it weighs down my back, especially in the summer, everything like that. It's just not fun. So the less I can bring, the better, and the Fuji x100v is a perfectly capable camera, especially for the stuff that I like to shoot, sort of like environmental portraiture, street sort of things like that. I'm not really shooting like super close-up portraits or super wide epic landscapes or cityscapes or anything like that. So 35mm is honestly a really solid focal length for me. And I think lastly, one of the more underrated aspects about cameras, and this could very well just be me buying into the hype of the camera and trying to justify the price I paid for it, is a very inspiring camera. Like it just makes you want to pick it up and go out and walk around and shoot something with it. It's just so fun to use. I really like the all black version. I think it looks like my film SLR, which is also an all black film SLR. And it really just makes you want to go out and shoot, even if you're not feeling it. Now I'm here, I'm walking around, and I'm really happy I was able to walk around in this area and get some cool pictures.